Do you see great, big, beautiful petunia baskets and you just see work with them? Or do you see them and think, oh my gosh, those are gorgeous. I need to have one in my yard?
So that's the topic with the super petunias. Do you need to deadhead them? And the answer is no, you do not. So be rest assured that you can have great big hanging baskets like this, or petunia trees or containers, and you don't need to spend any time at all deadheading them. That is a huge advantage.
Because can you imagine being up?
Yeah.
We'd have to have a team of people up deadheading these if that was the case.
With all the super petunias that we use.
Oh my goodness.
So let's explain a little bit about, there's traditional petunias from seed, and then there are super petunias, which are from vegetative cuttings. So traditional petunias are from seed, and what they want to do is they go through that cycle, they produce a bloom, and then that bloom dies down just through that natural cycle, and it wants to reproduce itself through seed. So that's traditional petunias, where vegetative petunias are bred to just keep producing blooms, and they don't want to go through that cycle. That doesn't mean that they don't produce any seed, but it's very, very little. So you don't need to deadhead them at all.
So, okay, you'd say that, but petunias all kind of look the same.
They do, yeah.
So how do you know if you have a super petunia or you have a traditional one that you do need a deadhead?
Well, the easiest way, the super petunias, and that's a trademark brand name, is from Proven Winners. And Proven Winners is the ones that have developed the supertunias from those vegetative cuttings. So they are an exact genetic replica. So when you have seed, that plant can change a little bit, where with vegetative cuttings, it's the exact genetic. So we keep that exact genetic line, and they just keep producing flowers, and so that's why they're not from seed at all.
So really,
look for the tag.
It's the tag.
Yeah, look for that tag.
Short answer, you're looking for the
Proven
tag.
Winners, Supertunias, that's their trademark brand. So that's what you're looking for, is Supertunias.
So a lot of the petunias that you see are going to be seeded ones that are very inexpensive.
Yeah, yep.
You're going to want to have a super petunia in a bigger container.
Yeah, they're
because
big.
if you have them in a small container or an 8-inch or a 10-inch even, it's too small. They're a very aggressive plant.
Absolutely. I mean, they just grow so vigorously. You not an 8-inch, probably not a 10-inch. I'd say 12-inch and above, because once they get going, they are beasts. I mean, and that's what they're bred for. That genetic is so strong. They're going to get big, and if you put them in a small container, they're going to drink so much water so fast. You're going to be nonstop watering them.
So the wave petunias is another type of petunia that they would benefit from being deadheaded a little bit, but they're not quite as bad as some.
Yeah, so technically, yeah, you would have to deadhead wave petunias, but honestly, we don't. You know, any of the wave petunias that we have, we don't deadhead, and we know several people that have thousands and thousands of wave petunias that they don't deadhead. So can they benefit from it? Yes, but technically, they actually do really, really well.
The ones that I see in the greenhouse that need like a lot of deadheading are going to be more of like, there's a series called Crazy Tunia, and they tend to go through this beautiful bloom, and then they really do need to be cleaned up. There's some other varieties, a lot of the mounding ones that they just benefit, and especially the bedding petunias.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And those
absolutely.
do a
Yeah.
lot.
The bedding plants. Yeah. Typically, that's going to be deadheading those, and that just keeps them looking nice. And a lot of people have no problem doing deadheading. It's therapy for them, so they love it. But if you are not in that category, if it's overwhelming to you, and you're like, I just absolutely would not want that in my yard, go for the Supertunias. That's going to be the ticket for you. You can look at them. You can know that I don't have to deadhead. Now, there is care.
Yes.
And especially as these get so big, the care is going to be, that proper watering and proper fertilizing. They're beasts. They're so vigorous. They are heavy feeders. So you have to feed at least once a week with the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer. I actually have these on a constant feed. That means they're at a lower dose, like a 1/3 to 1/2 dose strength. But every time that I'm watering, which is pretty much daily, anything over that 75 degrees, I'm watering daily. They're getting fed every single time with the Beat Your Neighbor fertilizer. And that keeps producing those flowers. It provides the nutrients so that plant can grow big and strong. And then this showy, vibrant flower display, that's from the nutrients of the Beet Neighbor fertilizer. So they just keep producing flowers.
So what happens to all the blooms that are dying off? What happens to them?
So they basically just kind of, on a Supertunia, they will dry down and fall off, and then it'll keep producing blooms as long as the care and the fertilizing is there.
They don't hold on to that spent flower as long.
Like a seed petunia does. So
or sometimes you'll see on a seed petunia where you have the stem comes out and then you'll see where the old flower brackets were, and they're trying to produce seeds all the way up that stem. And you just take a little scissors and clip off all those seeds.
So and on this, the deadheading, and you don't need to on super petunias, but on a seed petunia, you would deadhead like this. Because they're going through that natural cycle, it produces the bloom. That bloom will eventually dry down, fall off, and right in here is where it's trying to produce seeds. So with a traditional petunia, that's where you're gonna go ahead and deadhead, get rid of this whole little seed pod like that, so that it's not trying to reproduce more seeds. We want flowers, we don't want seeds. So that's the proper way to deadhead traditional petunias.
And we have a ton of videos on deadheading, on petunias, on care, on our Sharkey's Greenhouse YouTube channel, and you can find it there.
Yeah. So again, if you're looking for Supertunias, that is the Proven Winners brand. That's these specifically. So if you don't want that deadheading, be sure to look for that name. And you can go on the computer and find who carries the Proven Winners.
Yep.
You know, that's going to be, you'll be able to find that at those garden centers that are listed on Proven Winners site, who carries them.
So if you don't want a lot of work, consider the super petunias.
Yeah, they're fantastic. All right, thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye-bye.